What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Jasmine J, back with another episode of CCGO. Well, today we get to highlight some podcasters here in Houston. They have Cup of Conversation podcast, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation where we can dig into how we got here. Yes. So, ladies, if you don't mind, introduce yourself.
So, I'm Tia, aka T. So, I'm one half of Cup of Conversation.
And I'm Coco, and I'm the other half of Couple Conversation.
So, ladies, tell me, how did this all... Well, first, tell me a little bit about y'all, because this is my first time meeting y'all. So, If you tell me a little bit about who y'all are individually, then we'll dig into the show.
Okay.
So, I'm just Tia, a small town girl. I'm really from Orange, Texas, a little country town.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Orange.
Okay, I didn't know. I always rep, but I got to let people know, if you don't know what it is, it's Bob Beaumont, put out there, area. So,
what brought you to Houston?
Really college originally, and then I ended up just staying out here. I always knew I was gonna move to the city though.
Yeah,
because I just knew that wasn't my speed.
Yeah,
you know, I knew I was gonna outgrow that soon. So, and that's pretty much what it is. I outgrown the small town. I got a lot of ideas, creative. I'm a huge creative, so that's kind of what brought me into the podcast space. Just wanting to create something myself and talk my shit.
I know that's right, girl. What about you?
I'm Coco again. I'm just Coco. I'm a mom, a wife, a business owner.
I love that.
I just kind of do it all. I kind of just get my hands. I'm a makeup artist. I used to have a med spa, so I just like business. You be out there, you be grinding, girl. Yeah, I'm literally right now like on a whole like hiatus from like really like a lot of business. I did business for like 6 years straight, and it came to a slow speed. And so I just kind of stepped away from it just to kind of examine what I really want to do outside of the grind. You know, people talk about being a grinding all the time, working all the time. Yeah. And I realized like that's not really what I wanted. It was just the culture around me. And I grew up with entrepreneur parents. I never known my parents to have a job. My husband is an entrepreneur at heart. So I was just surrounded by it. And so I wanted to be in that environment. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but now I'm just kind of getting to who I am and what I really want to do and the speed that I really want to go in. So that's it.
For sure. So how did y'all meet?
My friend introduced us. And and we just started doing business together.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about how did y'all come up with Couple Conversations? Like, what was the idea behind starting the podcast? How did y'all name the podcast? Like, how did all that come about?
Originally, it wasn't a Couple Conversations.
Yeah, we rebranded within the first year, which is kind of, I feel like crazy for a lot of people, but like, I feel like I knew what I wanted to do, but as far as podcasting, it's just always finding your niche, your lane, what works for you, what's gonna be y'all thing, and what audience y'all trying to cater to type thing. So I feel like at first we just jumped out there all over the place, just trying to figure things out. I mean, we had crappy mics and stuff at first. It was all a learning process. But,
for me too, for sure. I started my first podcast in 2020. Let's Talk Business. Now I've changed it too to Business Talks with Jasmine J. But we had the mics. My cousin had a little bitty board. I mean, we made it work, but now when I look back, it's funny.
It's cringy.
Sure.
Right.
Yes, it is. So what was the original name of the podcast?
Comment section.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comment section. Yeah. And that was cute too. You know, it worked when it worked. But
I think we were in a like we said, finding our way type of thing. Like we were like, okay, well, let's just get on social media, because a lot of our conversation kind of stemmed from like stuff we would see on social media. So it was like, okay, let's come up with a name and cover like comments like on the social media topics basically. And then we kind of moved away from it because it was like, it's more to talk about. It's something else that needs to be talked about
for sure
versus what's already being talked about. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of switched it up a little bit. And you can kind of see that if you go back and watch like the beginning videos of us to like now, like our conversation is a lot different.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing that y'all were able to change the brand in the first year and agree on it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was committed to the other name or nothing like that.
Nah.
At first, T was really committed to
the name.
She was like, the name. Why we gotta change? Like, not why we gotta change. We both knew why we needed to change.
Right.
But it was kind of like, dang, people really was rocking with the conversation.
The conversation is fire.
And then one of our guests also had told us, when we introduced ourselves to him, he was like, "Oh, Coco and tea, that sound cool, like some drinks, you know, like hot cocoa and iced tea or something."
Right.
I was like, "Okay."
I didn't even think of that. That's genius.
Yeah, that's why. That's kind of where the Cups of Conversation came from, and you can see it all in our logo. Like the seed maker cup, and it's all kind of stuff. It's we put the little gems there and there.
I know that's
it makes sense after all. Like, yeah.
So how, as far as y'all two, like, how has y'all's friendship or relationship developed during the time of y'all been doing the podcast?
So I remember one time we had an episode about friendship, and Coco said something that kind of made sense. A lot. You really talk to and you really closer to who you are around in proximity.
Yes.
So I feel like that kind of made us closer in general. Just because we gotta discuss, we be around each other all the time. And when we were working when I was working in her shop, we were there all day together. So that kind of just made our friendship into what it was. And then we started having those conversations, and that's when I was like, this would be a good podcast,
Yeah.
And I think we don't really, like, outside of our podcast, like, we'll hang a little bit, but like for the most part, we don't hang as much. But I think that's kind of what kind of makes our podcast what it is. Like, because me and T come from two different, not really like two different worlds, but kind of sort of because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, she's single, no kids, hot girl. Not what I'm
hot
saying?
Girl, cold girl? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, I'm
a little more spicier.
Yeah, I'm reserved.
Definitely.
Like, we
have
come
different
from
lifestyles for sure.
Yeah, so it's like, it makes sense though, because it works for our podcast, because a lot of times, and to be honest, even though we come from two different kind of backgrounds, we agree more than not, but sometimes when we don't, it calls for good conversation.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. So what was y'all first? Do y'all remember y'all's first podcast? What y'all topic was?
Who was the first?
I do. It was during Women's Week, and we shouted out some women. What else did we talk about? We talked about Marcus Houston. I feel like that was going on around that time.
When he was marrying his wife?
Yes. I feel like that was
But did we have a guest though?
No, the second episode we had a guest.
Okay. So the first guest we came.
The first one we did by ourselves.
How was it? Y'all nervous? So how was that, like for y'all? It was like, hey, let's do this.
I don't think I ever felt nervous in a sense, because I think too, because it's pre-recorded. So it was kind of like, nah, don't say that. Like, I think I remember saying something crazy.
And we was like, we're going to have to cut that
out or something like that. Or we don't want to get canceled before we get started type thing. But no, I don't think I was ever nervous. I don't think either of us were ever nervous, because we knew at the end of the day, if we didn't like it, if someone we was like, okay, chalk that up. Like, we just was a test run type thing.
And that's why I tell people about podcasting all the time, because I feel like, especially if you own a business, but anybody with business or brand, I feel like you should have a podcast, because it allows people to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? You can show up as your true, authentic self, and people can really connect with you. You know, so what's your idea about podcasting? Y'all feel like it's oversaturated, or do y'all feel like more people should get into it?
I definitely think more, if not necessarily podcasting, just YouTube, and like you said, just showing more of yourself. I feel like a lot of people don't realize the value that brings to your brand and what other people think about you. Because it's always, we live in that, I really don't care what people think about me. They don't need to know about my personal life type deal. But like, I can get weed from anybody. I can get, nails from anybody. I can get bundles from any.
So why should I get it from you?
Yeah. I gotta like you. Yeah. I gotta want to shop with you.
Man, that's so important, because I tell people that, especially after the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? Like, people want to know you. Like you said, you could, girl, you
can get it from anywhere.
I tell people you can get it from anywhere. So why should I, who are you? You know what I'm saying? I want to spend my money where I know it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So that's the big thing. But what about you? You think it's oversaturated?
I wouldn't say it's oversaturated, because it goes back to the analogy with the bread. Like, people make water. It's something coming out every day. So like, I don't think it's oversaturated. I think as influencers though, I think we just need to be more mindful about what we putting out and what we influencing people, because I think too, like, sometimes it could be a little outlandish. Like a lot of stuff, it doesn't have any value to it. Right, so I do believe, I don't think it's saturated. I just think that we need to make sure we add in value whenever we do it.
And that's why we strayed away from that beginning era, because everybody was just, let's do the hot topics online. Let's talk about, Diddy and this, that, and what's ever viral and what's trendy. And that's cool. We could all do that.
But it's a root to that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get a little deeper, and let's talk about like the real, what's really going on.
Exactly.
Especially if you're trying to do something that's going to make an impact. Exactly. Like, even with me, when I started, it was I'm thinking my new name. It was Let's Talk Business Podcast. So first of all, everybody had the name. It's like 1,000 Let's Talk Business out there. But I really wanted to interview entrepreneurs because I had started my podcast during the pandemic and I was doing helping a lot of people start their business with LLCs and stuff. And I saw people doing it incorrectly, our people. So I was like, you know what? This is a great platform. I could educate people on how to start their business correctly, how to do budgets, all of this. But then it became I was just interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs and everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? And so I switched to business talks with Jasmine J because I really want to talk like what it takes to run a business, what it takes to be a CEO, the sacrifices, how you have to give yourself to your team, all this stuff that people don't talk about. That's the type of stuff I want to talk about. And that's the whole leading with the value. Like let's share because I'm a believer that God put you through a lot of stuff and he doesn't do that just for you. Right. He do that so that you can share that with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? To be a testament. So yeah.
I definitely feel that.
I think I just thought about like how our podcast, even with our slogan, like it's about having conversations worth having. Like,
oh, I love that.
Yeah, like we don't want to talk about it if it's not worth talking about it. Like, it's a lot of people talking about things that's not worth talking about. Right. So like that's the way. Like you say, what do you add? Like everybody got a podcast, but what are you adding to the industry? And having conversations worth having is what we add. Like the stuff people probably kind of stray away from or not talk about, or that's too deep type thing. Like we don't talk about
that
it.
Real transparency.
Talk about it. Yeah.
For sure. So what's y'all process in finding guests? Like, do y'all go out and find guests or do people call in or like, because I know y'all want to have valuable conversations. So what is that like? Because here at CCN, we have a network. So we have over 20 podcasts on our network.
And I love that.
Thank you. And for some of them, it's kind of hard. You know, some of them, this their first season and they're having a hard time with the guests. And I'm trying to explain to them, like, it's a process. You got to find your flow, especially when you're being particular about who you want to talk to. So what is that like for y'all?
Well, at first it was really hard because I think the hard was more so because we were not really being true to ourselves with what we wanted our brand to look like. And so it was kind of hard trying to just find any and everybody like, oh, let's get this person on. And we didn't have the resources to get people that, you know, might have status or something like that. So it was kind of like, man, what we gonna do? And then people would flake, the people that we thought wouldn't come through. But like I think now it's like it's the people that we are surrounded by, really. Like the last few people that we had on guests, granted some of them were like people that we didn't know, but they were some type of influence in the community around us. So we asked people that, you know, that we know that are our peers that felt like, okay, this person making some noise, this person is having some type of leeway in their industry or whatever that might pertain to, or people that we just look up to. Like the last guest that we had was a lady, not the last guest, but one of the last guests was her name was Lanaya, and she's like a Houston realtor. She does taxes. She's doing very well for herself, and like
shout out to her.
Yeah, and she started off as my client, and when I met her, she wasn't where she was. So like just seeing her growth, I was like, I gotta have her on the show. Like we talking about women, we talking about growth. Like she is like the walking example of that. So it's really nowadays like who we feel is like walking in their purpose, like making a difference in the community in some form or fashion. Right?
I love that. To those people who like, oh, this is what I do. You know, they say it online, but they're not really doing it. They don't have no proof in the pudding. Right. It's like just a lot of talk. So we had to stray away from finding social media. I mean, we do still find them on social media here and there, but like, we make more connections than we do anything. From going out to different podcasts like this, or just going out to different events like the one I mentioned earlier, just podcast networking events and trying to just show our face and be like, so they know how to identify a couple conversations. They're like, okay, I know they about something, so I wouldn't mind coming on that show. Right.
For sure. And you mentioned something very important, which is the whole networking. You know what I'm saying? The whole community that you put, me talking about, you know what I'm saying? The community that you put around yourself. You know, we do marketing and branding here as well. And I always talk about the importance of being in the room. Like you gotta get out of that box you live in. You gotta go out and meet other people so that you can really add value and get value brought to you. So how do y'all feel about the power of networking?
Oh, I'm all for it. Like you have to put a face with the name. You know, they see you on social media all day, but they have to feel your presence. They have to feel your energy. A lot of people, like the people that we were getting off of social media and on Facebook, a lot of people was like, oh, I responded to you because I went through y'all page. I kind of felt your energy through the page. I kind of seen that this was going to be like so I just knew it was going to be it was more of a good chance than it was a bad one. I was like, I'm glad you can kind of feel that through the effort that we putting in and our, the stuff we posting and the way we working. So I just feel like it comes once you put yourself out there more.
And I had the same experience with y'all. You know, I was told about y'all through Dennis. I actually went to school with Dennis, but I brought him and his co-host here to highlight their podcast. And so he's just been sending people that he feel like, you know, will really vibe or it'll be a good thing. Right. So when he told me about y'all, I did the same thing. I went online, looked it up, and instantly I was like, oh yeah, I love to talk to them. Yeah. Because you can see, you know what I'm saying? You can see when something real, exactly. You can see when somebody really into it, and then you can see what is if it's not what they say it is. So shout out to y'all for coming. For real.
Shout out to Just Us though. They always
that's our guys.
Since we met them, and we met them networking literally. Like we saw a flyer in a podcast group, and T saw it, and she was like, "We need to go to this event." And like we really thought it was like an event, like but they just had like a live like sitting like while you watched them, and we happened to be the people there, so they was like, "Y'all can just be on the show."
I know that's right.
And like that,
it turned into a really good episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was
he said it was one of their best. Yeah, for sure.
He told us that.
For sure. That was good. But I think networking is good. It's good to, like you say, weed out who is really working and who not working, because you can tell. Because another thing that I noticed too with networking, you see pretty much the same people at these different events. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell who really working. Yeah,
for sure. So let me ask you this: what is 3 things for y'all individually that you absolutely love about podcasting? Okay, or maybe 1 or 2.
Oh, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first because you probably got more to say. Well, I think with podcasting for me, it give me like an outlet to really just like talk about, because I always say this, like I have a lot of conversations to myself in my head, and I think being on a podcast is like, oh, boom. Like when I'm thinking about something, I'm like, oh, let me put it in my phone because I'm gonna talk about that on a podcast, because I feel like, you know, what's the point of thinking about something or having a thought and not being able to share that thought? So I think it gives me an outlet to be able to share my thoughts, like, and get other people's opinion and other people's thoughts about like what I'm thinking. So that's like my biggest one, like about the podcast. And then it's 2, building relationships. I think me being a person, I'm a introverted type of person, so I feel like that's my way of saying, okay, I did my
part.
Yeah,
I did my part
today. Yeah, I did my stuff. Like I'm good. So like I think that, and that's like once a week. You used to record once a week, so that was my thing. Once a week. Oh, I talked to people. I had a good conversation, long 45 minutes worth of a conversation. So I'm good. So that's the part of podcasting that I like too.
And then for you specifically, because I know you said you're a mother, a wife, a business owner, all those things. And I know I'm divorced, but I've been in those shoes. Do you feel like it's an outlet from that? You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to like decompress from the everyday fast-paced life to sit down and just have a conversation with your girls?
Definitely, because I feel like too, usually on Thursdays, I relieve myself of everything that I have to do to be able to go record. Yeah. My daughter is homeschooled, so like literally she goes to her classes on Thursday. My husband has to pick her up. She has practice on Thursday. You got to take her and pick her up. Like I get home, I'm just slow riding back home, slow riding to the podcast.
Chilling.
So like that is like literally like what I would say.
Yeah, and that's important.
Chill.
Yeah, for sure.
I sit and do my makeup. He ripping and running out the door. I'm like, I'm
ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Like, so I like that. Like, and he respected. So I appreciate him for like just respecting that. This is something that I want to do, whether it's making money, whether it's not, it is, you know.
Yeah, you feel like that's helping you, like having your husband to be a big support? Do you feel like that's a part that kind of keeps you going as well?
Most definitely. Like I hate to say this, and I don't really like when people say this, but I really feel like my husband, he be the reason I just keep going. Because me, like I said, I'm an introverted person. Like it don't take much for me to be like, nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good on that. Like I'll get in my thoughts so quick, and I'll just be like, I don't even really gotta do this. Like he be like, nah, you know, this is why you doing this. Like, you know, whatever the case may be. And he pushed me to do it. Like whether he feel like I need to be doing it or I need to be doing something else, if he know that that's what I really want to do, or I talked about it in a way once before, this how you was talking about it yesterday. So you can't be feeling like that for real. You know what I'm saying? So he really motivated me to just keep going, like whatever you doing. His business is his business is called Keep Going, and he does financials, but that's what he always say, like, just keep going. You just got to keep going. Whether it's producing what you feel like it's supposed to be producing or it's not.
Yeah, that's a fact. What about you?
I like podcasting because I really just wanted to, like, I like the radio space.
Yeah.
I ain't never wanted to be in the radio because I feel like radio is a little too censored for my taste. I'm a little uncut. But I just like to, like she said, like it's like an outlet for me. I use it as a time to get those questions, those thoughts out of my mind, kind of work them out with other people and see if I'm tripping or if I need to change my way of thinking. Or I always say we like to check different perspectives. Like you went through it this way, that's why you see it that way. I went through it this way, that's why I see it that way. We both could be right, but let's discuss how we got here. You know what I mean? So I like to see give people that kind of grace because I always try to make sure like I'm not just jumping the gun and trying to read people too easily. Like I want to give people that grace because you might have started thinking that way because of what you've been through. You know, so that was another reason, the outlet and to give people like a perspective. And I'm a debater. I like to talk shit with people. I like to have conversations with people. People will tell you if you like one of my friends on Facebook, they're going to be like, Tia always in the comments going, yeah.
Girl, that's my best friend. Shout out to my best friend Portland because she is the biggest debater. If there's anything going online on the internet, I'm gonna go to the comments and she the first one. She gonna say what she gotta say for sure. I've been telling her she needs to start a podcast for sure.
Yep, that's why I started. I said, look, I always got something to say, and it could be like they might have a different perspective or they might see it that way because of what they went through, but like. It's always a reason why we got here. It's always a reason. Like you said, God put us in a path for every reason. Every relationship, every conversation we come across, everything has a reason. It's all aligned. So
yeah, that's a fact for sure. So I like to ask this question to anybody that has a co-host because I like to be transparent. So with having a co-host, are there any challenges that y'all have to overcome, or for y'all it's like smooth sailing?
I think we all have challenges we got to overcome. Yeah. Coco is, we used to have a late problem with her. And she thinks I'm a worrier. I just think I care about the podcast like a whole lot. And I'm a Leo at heart, so I be wanting stuff to be perfect.
I'm a Leo too, girl.
I be wanting stuff to be perfect. I know it can't be, but as close as it can.
But now I be the one on time.
She do.
Oh, now you on time. She said that was a challenge. But we've overcome that challenge.
That's why I said at the beginning. Because she had been on time lately. But I just think I just be wanting things to be perfect. And Coco like a don't sweat, let it
it's gonna be
what it is. And I really do. And I feel like I go through life like that. Like I because ultimately I realized don't nothing be in my control anyway. Like when I'm late, and then I look at stuff like when stuff happens to make you like, if you being irresponsibly late, like
that's something.
That's a difference. But like when things happen to have you late, or not even just late, like when things happen, period, just to have you in a position to where you can't do something when you thought you was going to do. Right. I just look at it as it wasn't meant. Like it wasn't meant for me to go, or boom, it might have been an accident about to happen and you was being saved. I don't know what it be, but I already deal with my own thoughts. Yeah. So I be trying to have things less to worry about. Like less, okay, I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to trip on that. I'm not going to, if I can't get there, if I can't make it, it is what it is type of thing.
My dad tells me that all the time. Like maybe that happened because that saved your life, or it would have been this or that. Because I'm a Leo, so I'm like you. Everything I got it planned out in my head is supposed to be a certain way. Yeah. And when it don't go that way, in the past, I would trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, but now I've learned to just like kind of go with the flow. Yeah. As long as we trying our best. Like you say, as long as there's no irresponsibility, then I'm just like, wait, hey, it is what it is, you know?
Right. Like
and then too, I think another challenge would be too, it's hard to understand when you haven't experienced certain things. So with T, I think that her perspective right now is that way too, because she doesn't have, outside of herself, she really don't have no, nobody that's depending on you, that's waiting for you, responsible for that person. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like too, with me being a mom and a wife, like it's a little bit different, like the way you got to go about doing stuff, and
that's a fact.
And just maneuvering, like it's just different. And then me too, being like with my parents, they live with me, like even before, like I'm like their go-to, like they confide in me. They come to me for help.
Everybody is depending on Coco.
Yeah, like it real life. So I just feel like sometimes if I don't like pick up the phone, if I don't call, or if I don't say this and that, of course, to whatever we already planned is good. It's good. Just just know me to know like, oh, it's good. If she don't be calling like, oh, I ain't coming today, then just know it's good. Or if it ain't like, you know, how you feel about this, and I ain't saying nothing, I'm probably good. Like I don't have no opinion about it. Like just how I am. I try to have less of a burden on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I tell T, she'll tell you, if you see Sapphire Taste, what you want to do is whatever you want to do. I don't even care. Because, like, at this point.
Now, that's me. That is so me. I'm like I have to make so many decisions.
I can't deal with it.
But for me, it's like I have to make so many decisions every day in my business, every day in my family. Like, it's just so much that I got going on right now where I got to decide. So when I come home and I'm like, I'm hungry, and they like, what you want to eat? I'm not making that decision. Right. Or if we go and see a movie, whatever we finna do,
right.
I don't want to make them decisions. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to complain because I don't want to make decisions. So whatever we do is cool. But it's like at some point, I was like, I just want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to be in the passenger seat.
And that's how I feel about podcasting too. I think because T is more like, you know, hands-on with it. Like, I be wanting to feel like, you know, whatever we agree on is cool. Like, cause we doing this out of our own strength. Like, it ain't nobody saying y'all got to be at the podcast at this day. Right, if it's cool with you to record tomorrow, Thursday, as long as it's not around the time I got to drop my baby off, you know, and I'm gonna tell you that. So as long as it ain't that, I'm like, it's good. It's whatever.
It ain't about it being like just worrying or being not cool. It's about like having some structure to it so it can run easier. Like, you know what I'm saying? So putting stuff into a place, like if everything was structured in a certain way or we did this a certain way every time then it wouldn't be no problem. I wouldn't even have nothing to talk to you about. Like, or if like during the week, like we know, oh, we have to topic surf these days, or we have to talk to each other on Tuesday if we're going to record Thursday. So we can make sure we know what we talking about do, or whatever. For sure. So,
and I tell people that with podcasting, period, because a lot of people podcast for hobbies or they saw it and want to do it, whatever. But the more structure you add to it, honestly, and the more you treat it like a business, the easier it is a job. Like, for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got busy schedules, different things going on. It's like, okay, we know on Tuesday evenings we're gonna do we're gonna do pre-production. We know on Thursdays we're gonna shoot. On such and such day we're gonna drop. You know, having that allow y'all individually to kind of, you know what I'm saying, run your life.
Then make this a priority. Definitely schedule around, do my other stuff around, but I like to just make sure that I know that this is running smooth, and then I'll move on and do everything else. I'll schedule my hair appointment after that.
I know that's right. So I got two more questions for y'all. So one is, what is your, through y'all's year of podcasting, what's your favorite memory?
Ooh, I would say some of the knowledge I got from Lanaya episode. She said before she even brought her on, I look up to her. Like, if I wasn't a grown up, I'd be like, oh, I want to be like her when I grow up. Like, type things. And I've been watching her like since we had that episode but I've been friends with her on social media before then. But just that episode just was so intellectual, so deep. My auntie, and it really gave me a boost a little bit, because my auntie called me like later on in the week after we dropped the episode and was like, hey, what episode was that where y'all were talking about, you know, credit and financials and stuff like that? I have a coworker I want to show that to. He don't believe that she says she has over $500,000 in credit. Like, you know, she's afforded $500,000 in credit lines, like, which is crazy. Like, you have to have some great credit. So sure. I just learned a lot from that episode, and I like that I'm, you know, putting that out on my family, other people, and they were able to take that out and show other people, like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's lovely. And then one thing I do want to highlight is that you're able to say that about what's her name?
Lanaya.
Yeah, about another woman. Yes. Because today in 2024, okay, women have a hard time giving other women their flowers, and I really don't understand that. So shout out to you for that. What about your memory?
I think my memory would be like in general, like just the fact that we moving into a different direction. Like, the growth. As a whole, like, it's just not like, oh, just me thinking it. It's like both of us, like, just the growth of like the way we podcast, the things we talk about, you know, the people that we have on. I just loved it for us, because like even like this last little rip for the International Women's Month, like that whole month was like really good. Like Lanaya ended it off. She kind of like put the cherry on top, but like the women just in general in that whole like month were really good. And I just and not only were they good, but it just made me feel good about podcasting again.
Yeah,
like
for
it
sure.
put me in a better space with it.
For sure. So I'm adding this in. This is not my last question, but I'm throwing this one in there. What y'all got on the horizon for the rest of the year for couple conversations?
I'm glad you asked.
Yes. So we've been planning a live show.
Hey,
yeah, this is gonna be our first. It's gonna be like a part of our little, not little, our
big.
very big 1 year anniversary. But we also wanted to do like for the culture thing, like for like
That's
how our
theme of
podcast
it.
is tailored. Our podcast is tailored to move the culture forward. You know, have them conversations that we need to have. So that's
y'all
gonna be the
already
theme
have a spot y'all doing y'all live?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
No problem. Shout out to that spot. Next time y'all do it live, holla at your girl.
But we might do some follow up. Yeah. I mean, not follow up, but like startup events before the
promo.
Promo events. Yeah. Kind of like you were saying how you do the Wednesdays. Man, you let people do small business. We were trying to do like a farmers market.
For sure.
And have some businesses, just some Black businesses to come in and represent what they got and show off their brand. So, and like unique businesses, like literally like farmers, people who have gardens and oils, herbs, candles, and things. Things we need, like, you know, shop in our community.
For sure, for sure.
So yeah, that's what's coming up for us. Other than the live show, we just plan
that's our main focus.
Yeah,
really
I was about to
now.
say, we just plan on pushing to keep on doing what we've been doing. We've been having some good guests. And just moving up.
Man, shout out to y'all. I know that live show gonna be lit.
Oh,
hopefully
it's a lot of work.
Hopefully it's nothing on my schedule because I would love to be there and support you women and
definitely gonna have
and
a
be
place
in the
for
room
you.
for sure. So my last question that I did want to ask, I'm really big on the youth. I have 3 children of my own, so I'm really, big on Generation Z and giving them what they need to guide them. You know what I'm saying? Because they have access to so much. They so smart. It's so much out there. So I feel like it's our responsibility to put out content to kind of guide them. So for all the young people out there that's out there creating content, YouTube, all of that, what's your advice to them?
Ooh, you want to go first?
Just do it. Really, just do it and keep going. More so, and be true to yourself. Like, a lot of youth are very talented. I was just going down my timeline and I seen an 8-year-old and she can draw like she been on this earth so long. And I was just like, wow, like she needs to be showcasing it. And I actually told her mom, like, you need to showcase, you need to find an outlet for her to showcase it. So just really would be just staying true to yourself, do what's in your heart. Because I feel like whatever you do that's in your heart and what's genuine, it's going to be a hit regardless. Like, you know what I'm saying? People can relate to that. People can see that. Just like you said, you went to our page and it was like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like the youth needs to just be true to themselves. Don't worry about chasing an image. Don't worry about chasing whatever you see on social media. If you like it in your heart of hearts, move with that instead of just moving with the trends and stuff like that.
Good advice.
And I think my advice probably gonna be a little more harsh, but y'all stay in school and not really in school, but like just
continue to
always continue your education. Always have like not a plan B, but something to stand on. I feel like everybody try to jump off into this creative space, but we do still have to worry about this regular old life you have to support and still live and be. So yeah, do that, but definitely be realistic and definitely be responsible. Definitely don't just jump out there and get crazy loans that you can't afford or can't afford to pay back. Definitely don't want y'all in debt like the rest of America.
For sure.
So just try to make smart decisions, better decisions than the people around you. I know a lot of youth won't take advice if they don't see you doing something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for as adults to be like, nah, we've been through this.
Right,
we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Keep doing.
Learn through it.
I'm doing it wrong. Right. I did it wrong. But that's why I'm telling you.
Do it the right way.
Right.
For sure.
So that's definitely like something I just want to tell them. Like, we done it wrong. So heed the advice.
Yeah, no, I believe that's great advice because a lot of people don't say that. As entrepreneurs, we're gonna always encourage other people to do the same. Like you say, show up for yourself, be yourself. If you want to do something, just do it. But it is important to say, hey, but you got to make sure you're responsible and you taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. Especially you can't make no YouTube video if you haven't cleaned your room. And yes, I'm talking to my daughter.
Thank you,
Joe Jones.
It can be little as that.
She's a YouTuber. She even have her own podcast on our network. Like she inspired me. She the next Oprah. People tell me I'm the next Oprah. I'm like, no, I had the next Oprah.
Right.
But you got to take care of your responsibilities first. So that's a fact.
It can be as small as cleaning your room, getting your stuff together. So.
Yep. So where can they find y'all?
Couple Conversation on everything. Instagram, Couple Conversation with an underscore at the end. YouTube, Cup of Conversation with Coco and T. And yeah, our link in our bio with everything.
All right. Y'all have any last words? Y'all good?
Come out to the live show. Y'all
hey, you better be there.
Follow us. Watch what we doing so y'all can have the updates on when it is, what it is, how it is, all that. What you got to do to get there and all that. So yeah, stay tuned.
And keep having conversations worth having.
I love that, y'all. So this has been a great episode talking with Tia and Coco. I love it. Y'all check us out on the next CCGO. It's your girl, Jasmine J. Peace.